Before we dive into today's inspiring story, I just want to thank everyone who has taken a moment to make this show possible. To all our Patreon supporters, your contributions now cover some of the hosting costs after more than 10 years of doing this solo, and they're helping me keep producing content for stroke survivors who need guidance and hope. To everyone tuning in on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, thank you for commenting, reviewing, and sharing. And to those of you who picked up my book, The Unexpected Way That a Stroke Became the Best Thing That Happened, you're helping spread the message of post-stroke growth. Now, a big thank you also goes out to Banksia Tech, proud distributors of the Hanson Rehab Glove right here by Cerebo. This glove helps stroke survivors improve hand function at home, whether you're early in recovery or years down the track. You'll hear more about it later in this episode. All right, my guest today is Jason Hellyer, a Queensland real estate professional who built his life around work, weekends, and plenty of beers. Until one night, everything changed. Jason suffered an ischemic stroke that turned his entire world upside down. What followed was a total lifestyle transformation. He quit drinking and smoking overnight, lost 24 kilos, and discovered a new sense of purpose. He's living proof that sometimes the biggest setbacks can become the start of something better. Let's jump in. Jason Hellyer, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
G'day, mate.
G'day.
I love it. Another Aussie. Tell me a little bit about what life was like before stroke.
I lived a life of pleasure. Worked hard, played hard. So I worked in the property industry. So it was always the grind Monday to Friday, and on weekends it was play up time. So many a beer and a celebration had often and for decades. So it was not a smart way to live, but it's how it was, and that was part of I suppose, the era we grew up in. It's just how we did it. It was just work during the week and play hard on the weekends. And I got a gold medal in that.
Dude, that's not too bad. I mean, if you can get a gold medal, but always in peak performance sort of sports, you need to know when to get out.
That's right. Yeah, and I didn't know. No. First one there, last to leave always. Yeah.
So what was your role? What type of role did you play in the property industry?
So I owned real estate franchises, and I also had finance franchises. And I also worked, once I sold those, I moved back into working for a large company based on the Sunshine Coast, and did that for quite some time. And I think that role, when the responsibility of business was taken away from me, I didn't have to be so on hand, so to speak. It allowed me to sort of a bit more freedom and to play up a little bit more, so to speak.
So what's behind that whole I'm going to run through two businesses and have all these branches and all this stuff? Like, what's behind it from a psychological perspective? So I'm talking about, I want to try and understand, like, how do you go from being just a regular kid at school to building a career that means that you're working probably 90, 100 hours a week on multiple businesses and tracking all this stuff? What is the purpose and point of it?
I think it was the Australian brainwashed way that we believe that you need to go out there and succeed and buy and have all these assets and to build this and to be successful in everything you do. And that was the driver at the end of the day, to prove to people that I was capable of these things. And I think about it often, that question what you've asked, why did I go so hard? And I was always a sort of an overachiever. I mean, coming through school, I was always, I was a very handy sports person and did so at a pretty high level. Then that sort of moved on to my career, and so it was always, once I sort of found out what direction I wanted to go in the property industry, it sort of, becoming a salesperson was one stage, and I had to be better and go to the next stage, and I had to go into ownership. And then once I got to ownership of a franchise, how could I make that bigger? What can I go from there? And then it was into finance, and it just kept building. And once you're in, it's sort of, it's all consuming, just you sort of, when you've got employees to look after and, and families and things like that, it's just, there's no way out,
Do you
I found one though.
Do you? Yeah, it found you.
It did, yes, yes.
Do you have a moment where you go, "What the hell am I doing?" Like, is there
Oh,
multiple?
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, yeah. Back then, but as I said, you're so far in, you can't just step back.
Mm,
It's not something you can just walk away from because there's so much responsibility not only for yourself but for other people as well. And
mm.
their families and the people you're paying and everyone who's invested in your business or your career and what you're doing. It's a multiple domino effect of any decision you make.
So, how many years were you going hard? Like, I know it's
Um,
a few decades, but how long before you got sick that were you doing that kind of work or that?
oh, yeah, listen, there's probably 10 to 15 years of the business ownership, and then I got out of that and we moved back into more of I suppose, an employee type role where I worked for a larger company, and that was about probably 7 years of that.
Okay, so probably
Yeah,
two
but
decades going real hard.
yes, yes, yeah, definitely, yeah, and it's I mean yeah, we're definitely two decades, maybe even a little bit longer to be quite honest. Yeah.
Mm. And what about the day of the stroke? Like, what was that like? Was there any sense that there was something about to go wrong? Any previous warnings that in hindsight you go, oh my God, that was probably it?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I got a hereditary high blood pressure in the family. It was and it was something I had been treated for, but I was I was a bit blasé about tablets and things like that, and I sort of didn't take it too seriously, and to my detriment, of course. But it was something that had been there. I mean, I was in the doctors once, and it was a reading of over like 210 over 110 sort of thing, and to me, I felt normal. It didn't feel anything. There was no headaches, no nothing. That was just a normal day for me, and
Wow.
yeah, so that was always there. It was just, I think the night it happened, it was late, and the wife and I had been out for a few drinks, and we'd come home, and I was lucky enough that she's pretty switched on with it all, and she noticed straight away what was going on. I tried to get up out of bed to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't get a hold of the bed. And she looked at me instantly and just said, "You're having a stroke, Jason." And she had me in the car in 10 minutes. Um, I already, at the back of my mind, it's quite weird. At the back of my mind, I always had a precautionary kit in the cupboard of aspirins. So if anything ever went wrong with me, so I sort of, I think deep down, I knew that it would catch up with me one day, I suppose. And I remember chewing on two aspirins straight away. She got me in the car and then down to Sunshine Coast Hospital and straight in. Yeah, and
What kind of a stroke was it?
is it's I always have trouble pronouncing it. Ischemic.
Oh, yeah. Pronounced it really
Yeah,
well, man. Well done.
yeah. I
The,
practice that.
the, uh, the only trouble with strokes is you don't know what kind of stroke you're having. So aspirin
No,
could have been a
no,
disaster because
no. Of course, yes.
if you had a hemorrhagic stroke, that could have been terrible.
That's right. Yeah. In hindsight, I had no idea.
Yeah. For a heart attack, I think they recommend, chewing a couple of aspirins if you're feeling chest pain and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
thins the blood and helps it flow better. But for stroke, the best thing to do is nothing.
yeah. And all this education over now afterwards. Beforehand, I just decisions made back over that 20 years.
Yeah.
So,
So were you a
but to
smoker and a
be,
drinker?
I was one of those people who smoked when they drank. Like I wouldn't smoke at all, didn't even think about it. But as soon as I had a couple of beers, it was on for young and old.
Yeah, binge smoker.
Oh, yeah. All the above, and I loved it. I loved a beer. I loved the boys, and it was going out for and having a good time. And it was just, and I was a social. I wasn't a drinker at home.
Mm.
I was a social drinker, and that's just how I was. It was all my life. But in hindsight, Bill, to be quite honest, it's probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me.
Ooh, that's
It
interesting.
changed my life dramatically,
Yeah.
and only for the better.
Yeah. I,
So
I agree
it's
because I wrote a
been
book that was named The Unexpected Way That a Stroke Behaved. became the best thing that happened, right? Like I totally get what you're saying. Some people do not like hearing that. They don't like hearing
I understand. Yeah,
that stroke was the best thing that happened to us, because what they see is a different version of that. And they see
that's
you and
right.
me recovered X amount of years down the track to a certain extent, right? And they are not physically like us, and they're struggling with lots of other things, and they can't
That's right.
comprehend that. But what we're saying is, we're not saying we recommend stroke. What we're saying is that the growth that came after stroke is the part that was the really good thing about it. We wouldn't recommend the stroke for anyone. It's shit, totally shit, and it remains to be shit for many years. And I went through
Yes.
a really hard time for 7, 8 years, and it started to get better and better and better. But in the acute phase, my God, like I wouldn't wish it on anybody, let alone think
No,
it's the
no,
best thing that
no,
happened to me.
no. Yes, yes. I certainly didn't think that for the first 6 months, but looking back now, I can see that in my mind, it was the wake up call I needed, you know.
Yeah.
And I kept asked, but how better my life has become after it, you know.
We'll be back with more of Jason's remarkable story in just a moment. But first, I want to take a second to thank the team at Banksia Tech for supporting this episode. They're the proud distributors of the Hansen Rehab Glove by Cerebo, a soft robotic glove designed to help stroke survivors improve hand movement and coordination from home. Whether you're early in recovery or years into it, the Hansen glove can help you retrain your hand through gentle, repetitive motion, and it's being used by stroke survivors around the world to rebuild confidence and independence. If you'd like to learn more, you'll find the link in the show notes. All right, let's get back to Jason, who's about to share how a single mindset shift changed the way he lives every day. Yeah, I will ask in a little bit. I want to just to get my head
Sure.
around your wife and her response. Like, so she realized something's wrong. You've smashed a couple
Yes.
of aspirins just because. And then how did you get to the hospital? Did you get an ambulance? Did you drive?
Straight in the car. I was lucky enough. We had a near new hospital at Sunshine Coast University Hospital. Had just been probably about 3 or 4 years old at that stage, and we were only about 15 minutes away. So I was straight in the car, and I was still able to get to the car and get in straight into the emergency. The lady behind the counter there see me instantly. I was straight in, and yeah, into the wards, and doctor see me, and what they did to me, I don't know. A couple of things went on, and I was sort of in a bit of a hum for 8 days, and
So the fact that she said you're having a stroke, did that register with you, or were you just like in a
it
daze?
did, it did register, yeah. And I was surprisingly calm in my own mind. I didn't panic at all, and I've been a bit like that during my life. It's just sort of right, you got a situation. What's the best way we need to deal with this? And certainly me panicking, and I was probably about 110 kilo at the time. It's not something my wife needs to deal with, and trying to get me into a car or out of a car and things like that, and just sort of, I suppose, just did the best I could in that with what I was dealing with at the time.
Yeah,
Was my mindset. Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean,
Mm.
calm is good. That's the best way to be, because it also decreases the likelihood of you creating your own complications through stress and through anxiety and through
Yes.
all the things that we can do to ourselves. So that's a good
Yes. Yes.
outcome.
Yes.
And then when they finally kind of tell you what's happened, then like, how do you telling you?
It's a weird one. I've thought about that beforehand. I mean, I'm very always very quick to what's the word? I suppose it's to accept what's happened. You know, I'm not going to go into denial. This has happened. Now I need to sort out how do I deal with this, and what's the best outcome I can make from this. And you know, I wasn't thinking about myself. I was thinking about, like, we've got 6 children, and there's 1,000 other people I'm thinking of. I wasn't really thinking of myself. I was like, well, right, I'm just going to listen to everything they say. I'm going to do everything I'm told. And I knew my life was changed right at that minute.
Hmm.
I knew instantly everything was changed. I knew I was never going to touch another beer again. I knew I was never going to touch another cigarette. In that, within half an hour of me waking up, that decision was already made. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, I just accepted it was, and then just had to go forward from there.
Mm. It's really interesting acceptance, right? I imagine when you came to that acceptance, you would have had the deficits already. You did experience some pretty serious
Yeah, yeah,
deficits.
yeah,
What were
absolutely.
they?
Yeah, yeah. I was more so the face drooping and slurred speech and a weakness in the right arm. And that I noticed that instantly and also over the coming weeks. But I was very lucky that with a little bit of work, it sort of slowly started to come back, and I still got. You can still see a little. Occasionally, you'll see a little bit of my side here will have a bit of a drop to it. But apart from that, on the day to day, you probably couldn't tell if you were looking at me, but I can tell sometimes,
When you're
and I'll still
tired?
get yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'll get the occasional slur, and I can feel it in me. I can feel it, and
Mm.
as I said, you may not know, but the wife picks it up straight away. She goes, "Go to bed, you."
You look
You're
like shit.
tired. You're dribbling again. Yeah, so yeah, on the day to day, I know, and it's at the back of my mind, it's there. But I certainly, as I said, I've accepted what it is, and I just will try and build the best life I can around it.
Yeah. Do you know acceptance um, is a really, it's a practice. I think it's a practice. Everything way to overcome with it. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong. With you, did the businesses you were in help with that? Because in business, uh, stuff goes wrong, things happen, you know, really quickly, and you have to adjust and sort of shift focus. And you also can't think of solving problems that haven't occurred for you yet. You just realize that I've got to solve each problem as it appears because I'll never take action on anything if I try and solve everything before before it occurs. Do you think the uh, business helped you understand like the best way to approach this particular life situation?
I think that's a great question. Actually, it's and thinking about it now, you're probably right. I mean, so many times dramatic events would arise, and you just had to deal with them. So yeah, I tend to think you're probably correct there. That's without me knowing it at the time. I think that certainly could be the case.
Just defaulted to that business mindset of, okay, well, we've got a problem. Well, we can't
Yes,
do anything but accept that we've got the problem. And now let's find a way forward and then let's solve
yeah,
this. And then hopefully
yes,
we
yes,
don't have another one. But if we do, we don't know what that will look like, but we'll put the same approach towards it.
yeah. I think you're 100% correct. And that's exactly the mentality I had.
Mm. When you tried to get out of bed for the first time, you had right side weakness. So what was that like to
Yeah,
experience?
yeah. It was well, frustrating is the word I think because it is because you just not it's when your body's not working how you want it to work or your speeches and etc. And I was one of those people that always sang in the car and around the house and around the yard and things like that. And I couldn't. And that was weirdly enough, that was one of my most devastating things to me is I couldn't be verbally who I was, where it was like always having a tune going on and thinking I'm Harry Connick Jr. and in the car and just having a laugh. And I couldn't do that. And that was highly frustrating for me. Um, yeah, I worked on the the right hand side weakness. That was lucky enough to come back pretty quickly. In the first few sort of 4 weeks, I suppose. Okay.
So
Situation was
you got heaps of extra neurons around talking and all that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was always going to be practicing all the time. So
Yeah. Were
yeah,
you an
yeah.
auctioneer?
No, no, no. It's funny enough. I'm great in a crowd of three or four, but
Uh,
uh, I don't know why these people want to listen to me. I'm not. I've got nothing worthy of telling you, So that's been that mindset. But I'm getting a little bit better at that. With the role I'm in now, I need to do a lot more of it. So it's certainly something I'm working on.
what
Yeah.
kind of role are you in now?
I work for a major ASX 200 listed company now in the retirement sector or the lifestyle sector for over 50s, run the sales teams for those. So I haven't got the stress of property in where you're dealing with people's listings and their emotions of homes and the responsibility of that. And it's all consuming 24/7,
Hmm.
where this is their beautiful homes, they're there in place. And it's just talking to people in general. And I'm dealing with people in sort of the over 55 bracket. So that Excuse that train going past. Um, so it's a very easy conversation for me, and there's no, it's an easy uh, role,
Sell.
and I'm well looked after. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
When the hosts sell themselves, I'm just there to facilitate.
Yeah. Okay. So you have got like a good carrying speaker's voice, and just anything that comes out of your mouth people will pay attention just because of the way that you construct the sentence. People want
Oh,
to
thank
hear
you.
from you. People want to hear from you just because you have a different perspective, a different point of view. You don't have to be special or important or anything like that. You just have to have a different point of view just so that you can create conversation, right? And
Sure, sure.
I've and I think like you, I think like me, perhaps you love the sound of your own voice.
Well, you could be right. I've been told that. So
That's
yeah,
all right. I mean, that's a good place to
yeah,
start,
yeah,
right? You go up there,
yeah,
just have a listen to what Jason's got to say. You think about it for
yeah,
yourself, and then you just talk, and then you go, shit,
yes,
did I say that? I really love that I said
yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, that was. I'm certainly famous for things coming out that shouldn't. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it was my wife who encouraged me to come on and talk to you and to have a chat and to share my story. So I appreciate you letting me do that, and certainly getting practice in talking to you here now on my public speaking in a way, in a
Yeah,
sense.
don't worry about
Yeah.
it. This is only going to hundreds of thousands of people around the world.
Yeah, great. Well, I can only see you at the moment, so I'm happy with that. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Really
yeah,
interesting, isn't it? Right. So I've
yeah.
done a bit of public speaking. It's one of the first things I did after I had my first two brain hemorrhages. And one of the challenges that I had was constructing a sentence, remembering, and all that kind of stuff. And I did that as a volunteer for the Stroke Foundation. And I feel like instinctively that helped me with my speech, my memory, and my recovery in those areas. And the first time I got up to speak, I was petrified. I was shaking, I was trembling, the whole works. But every person in the room was a stroke survivor, so everyone had some kind of a deficit that was impacting them on delivering, their speech or their presentation. Like we only had to speak for minutes, literally minutes. Um, but then it gets better and better because what you do is you start relating to the crowd from the perspective of like, I'm here to share something, but I'm going to learn from you as well. So it's an interactive conversation. It's less about I'm telling you what to do and you might think I'm an idiot, but like it's more about let's learn together. We will talk and we will learn together. That's kind of what I get out of
Sure.
it. Now, that being said, that led me to the podcast and that led me to all the other things that I've done, as well as recently for the Royal Melbourne Hospital Neurosciences Gala Ball. They asked me to speak so that I could be the guy who comes on just before the auctions start to just
Wow.
squeeze as much money out of the people sitting in the audience as possible, right? No pressure.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I was cool, right? Not nervous or anything. But I've been speaking now on stage for about 13 years, right? 10, 13 years. What am I talking about? About 12 years. Um, and I was being asked the whole time, are you nervous? You okay? Other people who, of course, would have been nervous if they had the same job to do or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm all good. I don't get nervous. But I got emotional because I started talking about my story. And then I couldn't finish
Ah,
a sentence. And I was like, trying to get through it. And I got through it all, but I had to compose myself. I had 8 minutes, and I reckon I had to compose myself about 5 times.
right. Wow. Yeah, no,
But
yes.
they reckon they loved it. They reckon it was awesome.
Yeah,
It was the best. They reckon it was, it pulled at the heartstrings, and it doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't really matter. I'm on the stage just sharing my story and trying to get them to kind of connect with me. And the tear, the tears and the emotion kind of did that more, even though I was trying to avoid it.
absolutely. Absolutely would have, yeah. From the heart, no doubt.
Yeah, yeah. And I couldn't
Yeah,
control it. Anyhow,
crikey.
got through it and tried to actually not burst into tears between the walk from my table to the stage and from the stage back to my table. Like, far out. But that's it, man. It doesn't really matter. People don't really judge it that much. They probably give
Yeah, yeah,
you more credit for being up there and speaking than than because they probably think that they can't do it either. Do you know?
yeah. We always create the worst scenarios in our own heads, don't we? You know, and
Yeah.
what we think.
Are you a bit of a
Yeah.
head case or
It depends on who you talk to, Phil.
your missus?
Um, yeah, no, no, I'm pretty level. I'm pretty level-headed. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So it's not that. It's
yeah.
just in that moment you just get a little bit in your head about it and it gets too much.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's something I'm working on. I was lucky enough. My eldest daughter just graduated from university, and she'd worked for 11 years for a doctorate, and she got it. So it was a very proud dad moment. She was also asked to do the closing speech on behalf of all the students, etc. There, and I've watched her over the years get better and better at her public speaking, but she's addressed this audience of all these academics and and proud parents and other students, etc. And I was just blown away at how calm and relative she was to everyone, and it was just, I couldn't believe it. I was so proud of her, and I just aspire to be able to do that sort of at that level, and it was nothing to her. She was like, "Oh, it's just
Yeah.
it's fine." I,
Yeah.
I, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, it was amazing to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. So bit going, I might not be able to do this anymore. Like, what do you think what was happening there?
Yeah, well, I felt like I'd lost part of who I was, especially with the singing around the house. It was such a big part. I didn't really even realize at the time how big a part of that of me that was. Just in because my wife always knows, she goes, "If you're singing, you're happy." She always says that to me all the time, and the fact that I couldn't do that, and I couldn't recall words, and little bits and pieces like that. I sort of felt like I'd lost part of my identity. Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely.
yeah. Was there any like really difficult moments, really hard, dark moments? Did you get to that stage at all? Or
I think how close I came, sorry, to putting my family through it it wasn't about me, it was more about them and what I was putting them through. And so what I haven't explained to you is my wife's mother's had a stroke about 2 years beforehand, and hers was from falling at work and hitting her head, and she's in a chair now and has lost a lot of her complete right side movement. So the scare that it would have given my wife would have been, I can't even imagine. She
mm,
hasn't shown anything, and she's been nothing but supportive. But I know internally she would have been terrified. Yeah,
mm. And you smoked, you drank, you didn't pay attention to your high blood
yeah,
pressure, and you should have
yeah,
done better.
yeah. I was so self-indulgent; it's ridiculous. And being a father and a husband is, I know now, is so much more than just providing a house or the monetary side of things. It's so much more, and I was a foolish man. It's as simple as that. Well, that's how I feel now, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it's about also example, leading by example?
Oh, couldn't absolutely 100%, and that's why my life has changed dramatically from what it was now.
Yeah. One of the things that I did was sort of like create the center of my universe became the kids and the wife, and it was about like trying to get better for them. If I got better for them, then I got better. And if I got better for them, then I got better for my parents and my brother and my extended family.
Yeah,
And everyone was kind of involved in it, but it was them initially. I wanted to be a better dad. I wanted to, create a good example. I wanted to be as hard working on my recovery as I possibly can. So I went out of my way. And then when I wrote my book, um, the dedication of the book is, to all the stroke survivors first, and then it's also to my family. It was like, um, if nothing else, I hope I've set a good example,
yes, absolutely, and
how to
and no doubt
respond.
you have. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to every day. It's about how to also, how do I kind of um, ignore drinking, was working too many hours, just having no downtime, no past times, no, and the interactions that I had with people were just small, short stints, family and friends we saw on the weekends, that kind of stuff. But there was really no substance to my daily life other than how much jobs I could get and how many quotes I could do, how many
Yeah,
clients I could get over
yeah,
the line, how much
yeah,
I could
yeah,
charge them.
yeah. True.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's
was who was it, did you, are you the kind of person that needed somebody to give him a bit of a lift, some support? I know your wife definitely would have done that, but was there any doctors or any professionals that you came across that kind of said, let's move forward, or you?
I actually had a few different doctors I spoke to, and to be quite honest, I had some I'd felt just didn't even care, and then I was on the search to find one who actually, wanted to listen to you and hear what you're saying instead of just here's a pill, take the pill. I just wanted someone to, ask those questions that I didn't think to ask myself, and I eventually found one, and I've been with him ever since. And even though I live a long way away now, we have catch ups on the via Zoom, etc., like we are today.
Yeah, that's very common. People finding that they come across doctors who are really, well, difficult to deal with and don't understand the human side of the
That's right. Mm.
recovery and are very disconnected. So you
Yeah,
had that
definitely.
experience.
Absolutely, I did. Yeah, yeah. But once I sort of found the doctor I was happy to deal with, or that was, I made a point of letting him know that was my experience, and that I was looking for a long term relationship, so to speak. Even if I might not be in this part of the country or in Queensland, I wanted to be ability to be able to still talk to him and deal with him, and he certainly gave me that flexibility, no problems at all.
Yeah, how important is that? Like my surgeon, you would have thought initially, right? She's opened up my head, taken out the faulty blood vessels, sewed me back up, sent me out into the world, and that the interaction should stop and end there. And you would kind of be okay with that. You would say, all right, well, that's pretty normal. I don't see that as an issue. But it's so much cooler that since my brain surgery in 2014, 11 years later, I get to be at a ball on her behalf and represent stroke survivors that they can't other donors or the state government or the federal government.
So good,
Yeah.
so good.
It's
Yeah,
next level. It just feels like I'm giving back. It feels like I'm still involved. The journey hasn't ended. It's not just no big deal. We opened your head up, we stitch you up, you go home and move on. Like there's more that's required. I
yeah,
feel like I need to do more with this experience than just cop it on the chin.
yeah. It's certainly motivating you to continue on and to go bigger and better, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and I don't really kind of understand that part of the journey, but it's really cool that I get to give back in that way. It's something
Yeah.
strangely, what's the word? Like makes all the things that I went through kind of, I don't know, worth it, worthwhile,
Yeah, yeah,
or
no, I get it. Well, you've got purpose now. It's
that's
your
it.
purpose is what you're doing is to bring not only your story but all of our stories to everyone who's going through this terrible, terrible thing. But I mean, I listened to so many of your podcasts when I was going through it,
Mm,
and that's how my wife actually found your name was on my podcast list when she was telling me what I should do and go and tell your story, etc. And so, yeah, it certainly helped me and helped me understand what I was going through. I mean, I didn't know anything of anything, and
mm.
listening to yourself as lucky enough, I never took holidays, so I had like 12 weeks plus of holidays up my sleeve. So I just took them, but to be quite honest, Bill, I never went back. I just stopped completely. I was lucky enough that I was in a position I could do so um, for a short period. It was never going to be forever. But I knew for that next 12 months, I had to concentrate on me and fixing me. And like you said, by fixing me, I can then help everyone around me as well, sort of recover because they've all been impacted in some way from what happened.
Yeah. 12 weeks of holidays in Australia, that's 3 years of
Yeah, that's
holidays
right.
at work
That's
that
right.
you
Yeah,
haven't
yeah,
gone on. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
how, no downtime, nothing? I mean, just public holidays,
Oh,
obviously, and the main
yeah,
days, Christmas, New Year's, that kind of stuff.
yeah,
But
yeah.
no getting away, no nothing.
No, not really. No, not a lot of it. It's just how it was. It's just how it is in that industry.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
And
A lot of
and
people don't have sorry.
and I was going to say your wife, like, surely she's going take a break. Let's go somewhere. Let's do something in that time, isn't she?
Well, occasionally, yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
she might have had a break, but I didn't.
Ah, so she might have given that, had herself that opportunity to, chill out a little bit somewhere for a couple of weeks, but you never did.
Sure. Yeah. No. No. Well, a little bit here and there, but nothing where I took major
Yeah.
leave from or anything like that. But I certainly did in the end, and it was work. And I was so glad I had it up my sleeve because
Mm.
it certainly allowed a good peace of mind knowing you had income too during that period. So,
Yeah. So what did you do like for downtime when you did have some couple of days away from work or some downtime?
oh,
How did you
oh,
like to have fun other than drinking and smoking, which is
well, I've always been a mad fisherman, so I was especially a beach fisherman. Grew up on the coast my
ah,
whole life, so I surfed all my youth, and it's the ocean's been part of my life forever. So
mm,
always a lot of time around the beach and around the lakes and around the river systems, etc. And
mm,
it's a place where I feel at home, whether it's on a river and kayaking and all that sort of anything to do with the water I was involved in.
yeah, that's very cool. Um, did you do a uh, life mortality check when you went through this? Did it trigger you in that way to think about things
100%.
could end?
Absolutely. Yeah. It gives you the great reality comes with the fact that, you're not going to be here forever. And it certainly sets in place very quickly of what's important. And it's not how big your house is or what sort of car you drive, I can tell you now. It has no importance to me whatsoever. It's just all about, I remember lying on that bed and I would have given, when it first happened, I would have given everything I owned just to have my children in the room.
Mm,
It was, yeah, it's a realism is something everyone needs to sort of go through, I think.
mm.
It's a check that everyone needs at some stage.
What were the ages of the children? What's the span?
At that stage, it would have been 17 up to 26.
Okay. My God, you guys had a busy life.
Oh, yeah, well, it's
Sounds
true.
like you were at least
It's
good
true.
at one pastime.
That's right.
Yeah, good on you, man.
Yeah.
So like 9 years between the first one and the second one, and there was six children.
Yeah, six children all up. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. You had to be
Yeah.
just on all the time to deal with all of the stuff that happened in a family of six children.
Yeah. That's probably why I drank.
Yeah. And your wife, Superwoman, is she
Yeah.
working in that time or is she like doing all
No,
the
no.
homework?
Lucky enough that she could do a bit of stay-at-home parenting, which was a blessing.
Yeah. Far out, man. What a like what an output that needs to sort of happen on a daily basis. Managing all those
Yeah.
kids, get up, go to school, do your homework, sit down and eat, tidy up. You know,
Yes,
I struggled with two kids, and you guys had six. I love it. Um,
crazy.
it is, it is. I like it. So now, what's life like now? So I know you've said there's been a big difference, a big shift, and a swing away from that kind of stuff. How do you go about your day to day?
Well, I have a very calm and peaceful life now. All the kids are flying the roost, so I don't have any of those responsibilities. They're often at university and working and doing all the bits and pieces. So it's the wife and I now. We've done a bit of travel, and as I said to you before, we've just bought ourselves a little farm up near Dubbo, and we're renovating an old cottage up here now. And eventually, we'll get up here in the next few years, and this will be our little forever nan and pop home. That it was going to be, we would choose a beautiful lifestyle over monetary items and chasing career goals that mean nothing on a gravestone.
Yeah. Are you planning on having anything on the farm? Like I know you have a farm, but are you going to grow anything or
No,
raise anything?
no. I was up to the wash. You'll have miniature cows and all those things I see on
Yeah,
Instagram.
yeah,
But yeah, in reality of it, I think it'll be a few chooks. We don't know yet. We'll just see what happens. Just concentrate on getting the farmhouse up and running at the moment, and got chippies here as we speak, knocking things out. It's 110 years old, so they're finding new little things here and there all the time that we've been hidden. So but it's fun to do.
yeah. For the
We're
people
enjoying it.
listening
Yeah.
who are overseas, chippies are carpenters. We call
Oh,
carpenters
of course.
chippies in Australia,
Yes,
amongst other
of
things.
course. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course. Yes. Yeah.
that's cool. So
Yeah.
how about your health, medication, all that kind of?
I've turned dramatically.
So how much weight
You
did you
know,
lose?
about 24 kilos. I'm down now. I think from starting. I'm a work in progress still. I've done quite a few things, but I'm constantly working on. I'm working on flexibility and everything at the moment. Whereas as we're getting older, one of the worst things for as you get older is to get up and out of chairs and up and down off the ground and little things like that. So so it's a forever work. I'm an
Yeah,
ongoing artwork that's got to
yeah,
can always needs fine tuning. So yeah.
beautiful. And are you tall?
No, God, no. Wish I was. My father was 6'4", and my mother was 5'2", and guess whose height I got?
Yeah,
Mum's, yeah. So I come in around 5'8". Yeah.
5'8", roughly me. So, but at 110 kilos, that's quite heavy for somebody that's
Oh
5'8".
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was rotund.
Rotund. Okay.
Yeah,
Kilo.
90
Mm,
kilos. Yeah,
yeah, that's a big improvement. Just the difference that makes on your
yeah,
physical, like your body being able to deal with all the physical side of it. That's really good outcome. And working on your strength ongoing is really the
yes,
thing that they say can. I think like there's studies about like the muscles that you have on your body is directly correlated to the longevity of your life.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I'm a big reader of all that sort of Dan Buettner stuff on the blue zones and longevity, and so I've done a lot of homework on that, and and all that precautionary sort of exercise that we can do. So yeah, as I said, every day is a little bit.
Like if you go down that path, what you're doing is you are improving your health, increasing your biological age. So that's exactly what we want to do, and that helps the brain. It helps the brain heal, recover, get better and better and better, and that's exactly where you want to be heading. Also,
Absolutely.
I was curious about like how stroke has changed you, like, not just physically but also emotionally and mentally.
Yeah, I think the fact that I gave up the drinking was such a big part of my life on the day to day. I mean, I never considered myself to be an alcoholic. I was just someone who went for a beer. But in hindsight, I think I was, and for the last 3 years now, I mean, I've been had a crystal clear mind every day, all day. I've had nothing. I've never had a hangover. I haven't had this. I'm so sharp now, and so my mind is so clear, and I'm so focused on everything I do with no deterrent or anything sabotaging it
Wow.
that it's it's to be quite honest, it's better than ever. And imagine it could have been, so to speak.
So you just had it. You were doing it for so long. You didn't have a moment of an extended period of time where you had a lot of clarity from
No,
alcohol.
no, just get up and just grind and go again. And I'd have a couple of beers on a Wednesday night, and that'd flow into a Thursday, then catch up on a Friday, then Saturday down at the pub with the boys on the betting on the horses, and it's just, yeah, and then Sunday recovery session, as they used to call them. We go and have a couple of beers and a meal over the water, and yeah, just week in, week out, week in, week out. It's
Mm.
just how it was for so long. It was normal, and I wasn't alone. I mean, there was an army of us, that used to do it, and they're still doing it.
Wow.
I've actually influenced quite a few of my mates have actually given up the drink and everything now too. So, sort of seen the changes I've made, and they've made the change themselves. But there's plenty who are still playing the big game.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't find out the hard way like me.
Yeah. Do you still get to hang out with them in the same environments and not drink?
Sure. Yeah, I'm the first one they ring because I drive everyone home.
Ah, I know all that.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the
So I'll still
designated
go.
driver too.
Yeah, if I'm up in the area, I don't stay for hours or anything like that. Like we used to, I'll just drop in, catch up, say good day, and I head on back home. And God, I'm in bed by 9 these days, and up
Mm,
at, the mornings are my beautiful place. It's the early mornings are where I thrive. I love it.
yeah, it's all
5
quiet.
a.m. rise are
Yeah.
so good. Yeah, yeah.
Mm. What strengths have you discovered in yourself that you didn't know you had?
I a few challenges, some of which you're aware, and firstly that was to lose the weight and to rebuild my strength, and then to get to here and there, and then set some tasks like whether it was bike riding. At first it was like a 10-kilometer ride, then it became a 25-kilometer ride, and then I thought, oh, I could do that lap twice, so it'll be a 50-kilometer ride. And once I started to realize I could do that, I was thinking, I'm probably capable of a lot more than what I'm thinking I am. And when I was a young bloke, I loved endurance events, and certainly was capable in that regard, and could run all day, so to speak, And so, I wasn't, I couldn't, my knees were shot from the weight I carried, but I could cycle. And I wasn't a road cyclist or anything like that. I was basically board shorts, a set of pluggers or thongs for those overseas listeners, and
Well, flip
flip
flops, you
flops,
mean?
flip flops. Sorry, yeah, and a surf t-shirt, and I was off on the footpath, and I was gone. So yeah, so our target then. So then we decided, let's go and have a crack at that, and we did that 700 kilometres through the Pyrenees and through Spain and all that over meniscus was gone, and another option, not an option. And if you know Europe well, and I'm sure you'd realise that it's not flat like Australia. It's she's up and down everywhere. It's crazy, And takes self, but to prove to my friends and my family, and in a way to apologise to my past self for what I'd done to myself, to now give myself the opportunity to do something amazing. And that's when I decided to paddle the length of the Murray River, and Australia's longest river and the third longest navigable river in the world. So, and set my sights on that.
Dude, was that televised somewhere? Did people talk about that? Did you just
I
find
read
yourself?
about it. I read about it years ago as a young man, and I've always been fascinated by Australia, the historic side of Australia, and the explorers, and it was always a great read for me. And the old river systems used to be highways, really, and
Mm,
there's 1,000 stories of people who've done it, and canoes they used to make from corrugated iron, and there's a million stories out there like that, and it fascinated me, and that's sort of what led to that.
yeah, very cool. So, do you think that part of the reason why you're going to do
Oh,
that for?
oh, well, the limiting mindset was that it was it'd take me too long away from work and beer.
Ah,
Simple as that. How do I take beer with me? It's
wow,
crazy. I
man,
know.
that's
It's just
mental.
it's so messed up. It's ridiculous. It's just. But I mean, I wasn't even thinking about doing it. I said to myself, I'll do that one day. I'll do that one day. Then I'd look at myself in the mirror and go, "You're not doing anything, you fat bastard. You're not going anywhere until you get your life sorted." But then one day just roll into another. It was just yeah, Groundhog Day, just continuously. And as I said, the wake up call I needed was what happened. And then finally, as I said, when we got to the Camino, I realised I was capable of doing something as epic as that. And there's an inland rivers register they have of marathon journeys in the river systems here in Australia, and to date there was 514 people who'd done it um, prior to myself. And to put it into context, as I tell people, is over 20,000 have climbed Everest. So so there's only a small handful have done the trip in the modern era. I'm sure there's
Mhm.
plenty more that prior, but it was a challenge I wanted to set myself, 'cause alone, self-sufficient. That was the scariest thing, I think, was actually being alone. And if something happened, I had no one to call on, and I was in some circumstances, I was hundreds of kilometers from anyone. So
Mm, man, that is crazy.
yeah.
So, what's interesting is that in the modern era, we have these massive goals of like going further, longer, harder, whatever. The indigenous people would have been up and down that river millions of times,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
they never thought, oh, let me just see if I can just go like for 20 days straight, without any
Yeah, yeah,
support, help, or anything. It was
yeah,
always about practical use of the river. It was, I need to get
yeah, yeah,
somewhere. I need to, deliver something. I need to go see another community. We're going to get food, whatever. But we've got to do these
yeah,
like, I don't know, let's go to the moon or,
yeah, 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 yeah. Couldn't agree more. Yeah,
I,
absolutely. They done
I,
it just to keep the family fed, you know.
yeah. And I kind of get it. I kind of get those long endurance kind of events. I know that a lot of people get a lot out of them personally. It helps them break down barriers and overcome negative talk and all that kind of stuff. And I know that stroke survivors would benefit a lot from going, I've never walked more than a kilometer. I'm going to push myself to go 2 kilometers today. Like, I totally get that. But there
Sure.
has to, but for everybody who's listening and watching, what I'm trying to say is you don't have to do a 5 day, 10 day, 12 day journey. Just go around
No,
the block an extra time than you've been before. That's enough. The feats of brilliance or effort or whatever, they just have to be something that helps you improve your personal best so that you can just see that there's more to you than how you perceive yourself right now.
that's right. And getting all goal like one big choice. It was as I reached each goal, it allowed me to realise that maybe I could do a little bit more. You know, maybe I could do a little bit more of this and go a
Okay.
little bit harder. And yeah, I think it was more than also just to prove to myself that I can.
Okay. So
You
that
know,
makes sense then.
yeah,
Like if you've done it in 1,000 small steps and then you've had goals that you beat every single time, then that makes
yes,
complete sense. I love that. That's
yes,
better than
yes.
going,
Yeah.
I'm going to wake up today and I think I'm going to go run 400 kilometers. And if I don't
No,
do it on
no,
Saturday,
no, no,
I'm
no,
a
no,
loser.
no,
And,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it didn't work like that. No, a lot of training is probably a year and a half worth of training went into it, and there was a
Okay.
thousand small goals in that process as well. So I
Wow.
knew if I didn't get from that one to that one, I wouldn't be able to do this one. So yeah, it's a domino effect moving forward.
Yeah. So it sounds like stroke has changed your life in a meaningful way, like proper.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I think it's certainly your mindset has so much to do with it. You can either choose the defeated mindset, or you can do the best with what you've got. I mean, I know I'm very lucky compared to some, and I'm fully aware of that. But every day I remind myself, and it's sort of what keeps me motivated. You know.
Yeah. If you could share one lesson from your journey with somebody who's newly diagnosed, what would that be?
Well, I think I basically I suppose what I just said is that choose the choose the right mindset. You know, you can't, even though it feels defeating and it's easy to go down that path. You really need to focus on those small goals, a little, one at a time, and step by step you'll get there. But yeah, that mindset is so important to a faster recovery and the appreciation of still being here. And I think it's so important. I mean, that's my mindset's the number one thing that's got me through everything. You know? Don't get me wrong, it's been bad sometimes too, but recognizing it, and I could tell when I'm heading down that path, and I could have a little chat to myself and talk myself around and not let yourself go down that way. You know?
Did you feel the need to have conversations with counselors, psychologists, or anything like that in this time?
No, no, I didn't. I probably should have, but I didn't know. And I read and read and educated myself, listened to podcasts like your own
Okay.
and others on not only on stroke but also on health and healing and nutrition and just physics in general, the body and I mean, a million different things. And I've always been a an avid learner or a self-educator, and it was that was certainly what helped me as well. Understand what had happened and understand what I had to do going forward.
Yeah, that's just as helpful. I mean, it just getting stuck into the content that's available for free online is just as good as being
Oh,
counseling.
absolutely.
Counseling for me is kind of that a little bit next level. It's when I want to personalize my conversation, what I've learned with somebody else, so that they can reflect back on me and they can give me another. And I feel like you don't get anything out of watching or listening to YouTube videos or books or whatever, then a counselor could be perfect, right? Just go there, have a quick 1 hour conversation, get some stuff off your chest, get some feedback, and then, take that to the next session and also implement whatever you learned during the break between one session and the next, and it's awesome. It's a great way to go. So I
Sure.
like the way you go about things. Like I like how you catch yourself, in a negative
Yeah,
mindset or spiral or whatever, and you can snap out of it. And I think that's a
yeah, yeah,
skill. If we practice that more often, um, I think that helps. One of the ways that I do that is I say, like, is what I'm doing useful right now? Is that helpful to me in any way? Is arguing with my wife beneficial in any way? Like, what the hell are you doing? Okay, take a moment, get the hell out of there, change the scenery, go back, maybe apologize to my wife, to myself, to whomever. Do the work that I've got to do to kind of go, all right, I was there. I'm okay for being there. I'd prefer not to be there. And this is
yes,
how I'm going to stop myself staying there for a long time, because I'm still giving myself permission to go there. But I'm going to try and decrease the amount of time I stay there.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I hear you exactly. Yeah, I just try not to argue with my wife in general.
I
I
mean,
never win.
it's a smart move. I've got
Yeah.
I've got one last question, which just popped
Sure,
into my head right now. When you're
sure.
walking riding 700 kilometers,
Yes.
what are you doing on those rides? I know you're pedaling and that, but what else are you doing? Because I imagine it's not just no talking, closed, like focus and just riding. Like, what goes on?
Well, I think with the beauty of the Camino de Santiago, it's such an ancient pilgrimage, and we're riding through towns and past cathedrals that are 1,000 and 2,000 years old, and the same as the towns. And we've got such a lack of history here in Australia, of not our Aboriginal history, of course, but our white history, that we get over. You just realise how young we are here as a this side, that side of our country. It's incredible, and the it's so different, and and you can the amount of pastries you can eat on a 700-kilometer bike trip is phenomenal. So yeah,
Ah,
every little town, and it's not like it's 100-kilometer stretches between towns. There's a new little town every, 30 or 40 kilometers. So
ah,
like go. So it's not
grueling.
we weren't sleeping in the bush or anything like that. So it was
Yeah.
there
Okay.
was luxury at the end of the day, and there was amazing things to go and see, and so it was a sight. And we weren't rushing through it. So yeah,
Understood.
it was
Understood.
beautiful. Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
it's an experience. It's not grueling. It's not a
No,
endurance event or anything like that. It's
no,
literally
no,
just
no.
go along and then see what's going on and
Yeah,
where you're at, something new. And
sure.
the good thing about doing 700 kilometers, you don't have to feel guilty about the pastries.
No, no, that's right. No, we certainly didn't. No, no,
Yeah.
no. I don't think we lost any weight at all. So, but that's okay. That's what it was for. Is to for us a little reward for us for all the work we'd done on repairing my health, and Sharon, my wife, being as beautifully supportive as she's been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mate, it's a real pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast and
You too,
sharing
Bill.
your
Yeah.
story.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
That was Jason Hellyer sharing how a stroke became the turning point that reshaped his life physically, mentally, and emotionally. If you've been inspired by Jason's story, remember recovery isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Lifestyle change, mindset, and patience can make a world of difference. You can find Jason's full episode and others like it on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Just search Recovery After Stroke. If you'd like to dive deeper into your own recovery journey, check out my book, The Unexpected Way That a Stroke Became the Best Thing That Happened at recoveryafterstroke.com/book. And if you'd like to support this podcast and keep it going, consider heading over to patreon.com/recoveryafterstroke. And of course, a final thanks to Banksia Tech, proud distributors of the Hansen Rehab Glove by Cerebo, for helping make this episode possible. Until next time, remember, be kind to yourself, celebrate the small wins, and keep moving forward in your recovery journey.
Importantly, we present many podcasts designed to give you an insight and understanding into the experiences of other individuals. Opinions and treatment protocols discussed during any podcast are the individual's own experience, and we do not necessarily share the same opinion, nor do we recommend any treatment protocol discussed. All content on this website and any linked blog, podcast, or video material controlled this website or content is created and produced for informational purposes only and is largely based on the personal experience of Bill Gassiamis. The content is intended to complement your medical treatment and support healing. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice and should not be relied on as health advice. The information is general and may not be suitable for your personal injuries, circumstances, or health objectives. Do not use our content as a standalone resource to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease for therapeutic purposes or as a substitute for the advice of a health professional. Never delay seeking advice or disregard the advice of a medical professional, your doctor, or your rehabilitation program based on our content. If you have any questions or concerns about your health or medical condition, please seek guidance from a doctor or other medical professional. If you are experiencing a health emergency or think you might be, call 000 if in Australia, or your local emergency number immediately for emergency assistance, or go to the nearest hospital emergency department. Medical information changes constantly. While we aim to provide current, quality information in our content, we do not provide any guarantees and assume no legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, currency, or completeness of the content. If you choose to rely on any information within our content, you do so solely at your own risk. We are careful with links we provide. However, third-party links from our website are followed at your own risk, and we are not responsible for any information you find there.